Manchester United is probably the biggest club in England and one of the biggest in the world when you consider their rich history. But over the past decade or so, the club has been on a downward trajectory, and fans of the Red Devils are certainly not happy. A big part falls on the ownership of the Glazer family, as under their ownership, the club has gone from winning Premier League titles regularly to not winning one in the past 10 seasons, and questions are being asked about the direction of the club. But why? Where did it all go wrong? How did the Glazers ruin Manchester United? And is there any hope for the future? The Glazer family hails from Florida, United States, and this American family became the owner of one of the world's most iconic football clubs back in 2005. And their tenure at the helm of Manchester United has been marked by both achievements and controversies. Malcolm Glazer, the family patriarch, was a driving force behind their venturing into professional sports ownership. He was the CEO of First Allied Corporation, which managed a wide array of businesses, including prominent brands like Harley-Davidson motorcycles, Tonka toys, and Omega Protein. Malcolm Glazer, like many football enthusiasts around the world, had a deep admiration for the sport. He aspired to make a significant impact in European soccer, and Manchester United, under the stewardship of legendary manager Sir Alex Ferguson, was one of the most successful clubs globally during that time. In 2005, Malcolm Glazer's dream became a reality when he purchased Manchester United. The club, steeped in history and success, was a coveted acquisition. Malcolm's ownership marked a significant shift in the club structure as it transformed from being a publicly traded entity to a privately held one. To acquire Manchester United, Malcolm Glazer paid approximately $790 million, securing the club's shares and becoming the sole owner. This purchase, however, was not without controversy and financial maneuvering. Most notably, the acquisition was largely financed through loans, and these loans were secured against the club's assets, which raised concerns among fans and financial analysts. One of the primary reasons for discontent among Manchester United fans regarding the Glazer ownership has been the substantial debt burden placed on the club. The Glazers financed their purchase by using leveraged loans, which translated into enormous interest payments. The interest alone amounted to over £60 million annually. Additionally, payment in kind (PIK) loans were used, which carried a staggering interest rate of 14.25% per annum. These PIK loans were not the responsibility of Manchester United, but were secured against the Glazers' holding company shares in the club. The debt situation became a significant point of contention, as fans questioned the sustainability of the club's financial health under such a heavy debt load. Despite the financial strain, the Glazers did not make any substantial efforts to pay down the PIK loans during the initial years of their ownership. The debt situation reached a peak, with PIK loans totaling around £207 million by March 2010. Eventually, these loans were paid off in November 2010 through unspecified means. To address the debt and financial concerns, the Glazers initiated a £500 million bond issue in January 2010. This move aimed to refinance the club and alleviate some of the financial pressure. In August 2012, the Glazers further restructured the club's ownership by selling shares in an initial public offering (IPO) on the New York Stock Exchange (NYSE). Despite these financial maneuvers, the debt issue remained a contentious point for many fans. After Malcolm Glazer died in 2014, the family sold 12 million shares for £200 million. Later that year, Edward Glazer sold 3 million of his shares as the family ruled out selling Manchester United for at least 5 years. The Glazer family's ownership of Manchester United was met with widespread opposition from fans, some of whom felt that the club's financial stability was being jeopardized for the sake of profit. Discontent among supporters led to various forms of protest. In 2005, following the acquisition, a campaign known as Love United, Hate Glazer emerged. Supporters spread the slogan and the acronym LUHG through stickers, graffiti, and banners displayed at Old Trafford. Some fans even decided to create a new FC United of Manchester in response to their dissatisfaction with the Glazer ownership. The Manchester United Supporters Trust, MUST, also played a big role in advocating for fan ownership or a change in ownership structure. In 2010, a group of wealthy Manchester United fans, known as the Red Knights, attempted a £1 billion takeover bid. However, this bid fell through as the Red Knights and the Glazers could not agree on the club's valuation. Despite these efforts, the Glazer family retained control of Manchester United, and the debt remained a persistent concern for fans. The green and gold scarf campaign gained momentum, with fans wearing those colours to matches as a symbol of protest against the Glazers' ownership. The Glazer family's tenure at Manchester United was marred by a series of controversies. One of the most notable incidents occurred in April 2021, when Joel Glazer, a key figure in the family's ownership, played a significant role in plans to join the European Super League. This proposed breakaway competition was met with outrage from fans, football players, managers, pundits, and even government officials. Manchester United's withdrawal from the Super League following widespread backlash did not quell the discontent among fans. Protests intensified, with fans invading the club's training ground and staging protests outside Old Trafford. These events garnered significant media attention and further highlighted the rift between the Glazers and the fan base. If we take a look at Manchester United transfers during this past decade, it's staggering as they have spent over £1 billion in player purchases, and this huge fee is alarming. Also, the club has found it difficult to offload players, and as such, their net spend is on the red. This made fans question the club's transfer policy and body appointed by the Glazers. Before his resignation, Ed Woodward was Manchester United's executive vice chairman and effectively the chief executive of Manchester United. He was appointed in 2012, and it was under his term that the club started dwindling. Right from the offset, fans questioned his appointment, as he was just an accountant and an investment banker with no good knowledge of how to manage a football club. Fans, pundits, and even coaches questioned his management and transfer strategies, and it resulted in a lot of fallouts, from Louis van Gaal to Jose Mourinho, to most recently Cristiano Ronaldo, who tagged the club a financial club, and that the management wasn't interested in the football part of running a club, but the money-making part. He also called out the club for its poor growth since the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson, and that the recent appointments of average managers shows that the club was no longer a winning club. The club infrastructure was also called out, as Ronaldo accused the club of totally failing to invest in the infrastructure, not spending anything like the necessary funds on Old Trafford itself, the training complex, and so on. In all fairness, a big club like Manchester United shouldn't be called out for poor infrastructures when you consider the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Manchester City having incredible facilities. In November 2022, the Glazers announced their openness to a potential sale of the club, either in full or in part.
As we announced yesterday, the board went through a process and it's decided it's going to look at different strategic alternatives, and that's what we're doing.
And the club's valuation stood at £6 billion. Several interested parties, including British billionaire Jim Ratcliffe, Qatari Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, and American firm Elliott Investment Management, submitted offers for the club. However, these offers did not meet the Glazers' valuation. Despite ongoing discussions and negotiations, the sale of Manchester United remained uncertain, and the Glazer family's future with the club continues to be a topic of heated debate among fans. Amidst this backdrop of intense negotiations, the passionate supporters of Manchester United were not content to stand idly by. On the 14th of August, with no concrete signs of a sale in sight, fans rallied together to plan a protest against the Glazers' ownership. Their demonstration took place outside Old Trafford just ahead of their opening game of the season. The Glazer family's ownership of Manchester United has been a contentious chapter in the club's storied history. While they oversaw a period of success on the pitch, their financial strategies and debt management choices have angered many fans. Fan opposition, protests, and controversies have defined their tenure, culminating in the recent potential sale of the club. The future of Manchester United remains uncertain, with fans, prospective buyers, and the Glazer family locked in a complex and emotionally charged standoff. Whether the Glazers ultimately depart or continue their ownership, their time at the helm of the club will be remembered as a period of both triumphs and turmoil, leaving a lasting impact on one of football's most iconic institutions.